Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by Party Boy Pete McCormick, and our guest today is Master Sergeant Nicolas Galante. Party Boy Pete, are you ready, my man?
I was born ready, Matt. Let's get to this.
Oh, man, I can't wait. This is going to be a good one. You can find all our episodes for the Working Perspectives podcast on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and hang out with us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working PE Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, feel free to email us at workperspectives@gmail.com. All right, let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid. Launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. Working perspectives.
All right. So, Party Boy, I just want to get one thing out of the way, and we're getting this thing started because this son of a bitch needs our attention. All right. This is a goddamn American hero that we have on the show today. So, right away, I just want to say Tom Lavelle is a pirating jerk. And on October 2nd, I'm going to rightfully win back what's mine. This is my show. All right. This is me and the Party Boy show. This is our ship. And no pirate.
You're going to wipe the floor with them.
Yeah, I'm going to wipe the floor in them, and I'm going to throw them in the trash, and I'm going to throw the trash away. All right?
That's right.
Because this is our ship, Party Boy, and no pirate is sneaking onto our ship. I'm not having
today,
it.
not any day.
Yeah. And he thinks he can play Mario Kart. The only thing he can play is jerk kart.
That's right.
Jerk. I told him. Also, I don't know if people can see this. Soon we're going to have this sweet, sweet merch available for people to buy.
Oh, yeah. Working perspective merch, baby.
Oh, yeah, baby. I mean, you're going to have to model it, Pete, because let's be honest. You're the best looking guy in town.
Well, I was until this guy showed up.
Fucking right. You're fucking right. Nicolas Galante is the best looking guy in town. Good thing we don't live in his town. All right. So I'm really happy when Nick I contacted Nick, and he said that he was a fan of the show and he was listening and he liked what we were doing here and he liked what we're about. Because honestly, he's a stand-up guy. And, for him to give us the approval, it meant the world, because that means, good people like our good show. And we're proud of that, right? And we're here for the working man, Also, I mean, to be fair, we've said this a few times where, we circled that on the calendar, ready to, wanting to do this kind of thing. When I told you, Pete, that we had booked Nick for the show, how excited were you?
I was very excited. I haven't seen Nick probably, I don't know, we went to a barbecue with him maybe 2 years after high school when he was but that was I guess over 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I saw him. He had come back in between tours one time and we had hung out, but kind of just sparsely, in the last few years and stuff. And he's living in California. So, it was tough to see him. He's not living there anymore. He's in an undisclosed location. Because he's that badass. Yeah.
All right. Undisclosed. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We can't have America's enemies. No.
Where are you spending your summer this year? Undisclosed.
We can't have America's enemies knowing where our numero uno hitman is. You know what I'm saying? So, but either way, really happy to find out he was a fan of the show. Couldn't believe that we booked him. So happy that we booked him. And I'm so happy he's on. And he's doing great. And he's got a family. And he's got a kid. And he's, training the future saviors of our country. And I just wanted to ask Nick, before we get started, have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? And if yes, what did you think of that piece of shit movie?
That was a great intro, Matt. That's actually, I thought we were friends, but you kind of that's an insulting question. Of course, I fucking hate that dog shit fucking movie. So
Son of a bitch.
I actually think I hated that movie before your show. So I was flying somewhere, like I don't know, I travel a lot for my job. I'm flying somewhere, and like I think it was like maybe Delta or something offers free movies.
Yeah.
Sitting there and playing Can't Sleep, and I look across the aisle and see some douche just like head bopping, and I see Freddie Mercury on the screen. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let me give this fucking movie a shot. 10 minutes in, turning it off, I'm shooting daggers at that guy. Like, if this fucking plane goes down and we're in a survival situation, that's the fucking first guy I'm eating in a survival situation. So, that movie's fucking, choking him out with my shoelace, and then he'll be my meal for the next fucking like 4 or 5 days. So, terrible.
And you really didn't like you really didn't like the movie.
No, I didn't like the movie. Yeah, I didn't like the movie. I don't know. It didn't do justice. I'm a Queen fan, but
My God, Pete, what did I tell you? Nick thought that movie was so bad that he'd be willing to eat a guy who looked like he was enjoying the movie. That's how bad that piece of shit movie is. All right.
I think there may have been a little hyperbole in there, personally.
Look, don't be using those big words. All right, you bastard. Yeah. So, Nick, what's up, brother? How are you, man?
Good, man. I'm good.
Dude.
Long past couple of weeks, but looking forward to the holiday here.
Yeah, nice. Do they do like in the military? Do they do like a big thing for the 4th of July? Because I'm not gonna lie, 4th of July is up there with like the fucking best holidays of the year. You know what I mean? Like every year it's the best. Do they do like a big? Go.
Depends where you're at. Yeah, it depends where you're at. Most of the time they just let us get off to spend time with our families though. But some places do like parades or shows or whatever. But for me right now, just give me a couple days off. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
Have you ever been to a USO show?
No, I've been to one on like in the United States. They came out to when I was out in California. They actually it was a band called Journey. Like is it Journey? Yeah, Journey came out in 29 Palms. That was like back in like 2005 and gave like a USO concert on bass, which was kind of cool.
Whoa.
Journey, Don't Stop Believing Journey?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
I guess it was like I think the lead singer's dead, so it must be like, with the new guy.
Cover band or the cover band.
No, it's the original band. They just got a new like lead singer, so it's like Journey with whatever the guy's name is. I can't remember.
He was like Adam Lambert or something. But
something like that. I think it was Journey, and then what is it, the guys that sing Jukebox Hero? I think I told it before. Foreigner was there too. Yeah.
Oh,
that's the only song I know of them. Yeah.
When we were seniors for a graduation gift, the person I was seeing at the time got me and them tickets to see Journey, Styx, and REO Speedwagon. Yeah, not a bad concert. I'll tell you what, Journey was good. REO Speedwagon, but Styx blew the fucking roof off the place. Styx was so good.
Yeah. One of my first concerts, actually, I believe, was with Nick. Right, Nick? Didn't we go to the Tweeter Center for one of those concerts? And you brought a bottle of Crown Royal. Yeah, stuck from your dad's closet. Yeah, I think it was like a Y100 festival or whatever, and it was you, me, and Steve Azar, and you're like, "Oh, I can get something from my dad." And then he came over with like the Crown Royal in the pouch. I'm like, "Oh, look at us all fancy fucking drinking Crown Royal in the parking lot in Solo Cup."
Dude, I remember for Bach's birthday one time, right? My mom, like, we had a bar in the basement at my mom's house, and which we all know. We had a bar in the basement, and my mom had a brand new unopened bottle of Tanqueray, right? And I had no idea what Tanqueray was, but I got Bach. I just took it. I was like, "Hey, Bach, here, happy birthday," right? And that night, right, we didn't know how to drink it. We were doing shots of Tanqueray, bro. like gin, shots of gin. Forget about it. No,
like in high school, I didn't like any. Like you wanted like everything mixed with something sweet. You wanted that's why Jungle Juice was the shit. You're like, all right, vodka and like fruit punch. Here you go.
Yeah.
Like actual whiskey would like, turn your hair on your chest. But like now, I mean, I drink bourbon all the time, just straight. But like back in the day, no way.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Pete, I don't know if you remember senior week, man. I think it was the first time in my life and probably one of the last times I was drinking Jose Cuervo. I think we were taking shots of Jose Cuervo and we didn't have any salt. So we were like licking Lipton iced tea. You know, we were doing like a shot, licking iced tea mix, then doing a shot of like a lemon. It was fucking disgusting.
Oh, wait. So the powder, like the iced tea powder
Yeah,
mix?
like the powder. Yeah, it was like shot of Jose Cuervo, lick some Lipton iced tea powder, then like suck on a lime. I think I got sick as fuck.
Oh, dude,
that senior week was like the craziest week. All I remember is like where we had the hotel room. Everyone had been sent down, you know, like I think everyone had like their graduation parties. So people like their mom sent them down, like, oh, here's the leftover ziti or whatever. So someone had left a giant thing of like meatballs out in front of the porch for like 4 days. And this drunk kid comes by and he like sees the meatballs. He's like, can I eat these? And we're like, yeah, sure, whatever. So he's eating these moldy meatballs. Next thing you know, he turns around and just starts puking off the balcony into a Jeep that had its top taken off. And then he just left. And then the next day, like the people that own the Jeep are knocking on our door, like, did you fucking puke in our Jeep? We're like, no, like, but the meatballs right here, like, yeah, I don't know, some random kid came by and ate the meatballs. Like, you shouldn't have left your Jeep open on senior week.
Oh my God. Didn't you get stuck in the water somewhere, Pete? Like, what happened there? Or do you want to?
Yeah, I jumped into the bay and sprained my ankle. I think that was
a Jose Cuervo night from over here.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, so we were doing the shots, and I just ran and jumped into the bay, and then I had to have like 9 people help me get out.
I remember you had the boot on your foot after that, right?
I didn't have the boot now, but I was laid up for a second.
Yeah. Hey, when you're young and dumb and doing dumb shit, that's what you do. My God, man, Jesus, God, it seems like so long ago. But what are you gonna do? So, all right, nice. So, Nick, how are you, my man? Everything's going good.
Man. Everything's good, man. Yep.
You have a wife now, a nice young wife, and you got a kid. How did you? Do you want to? Can we talk about it? How did you meet your wife? Because isn't that an interesting story?
I mean, not really. I mean, I was stationed in San Diego, and then she was working out there, and kind of just met up through like mutual friends. That's about it. You know what I mean?
San Diego, that's where hot people go to meet each other.
Yeah,
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, they don't go. Yeah, they don't go to Lansdale. I'll tell you that. Lansdale, PA, land of the free, home of the brave. But nice. So okay, so you guys were you were stationed out there. She was working out there, and you just like kind of ran into her, and you know. Obviously, she does what every girl does when they see you, and she completely melted. And then, you know, it was all. Isn't she? She's Australian, right?
Yeah, she was. Well, I think her father was in the army at one point, so she was like born in Germany, lived in Australia half her life, and lived the rest of the time in Montana. So.
Whoa! Did she watch the show Yellowstone?
Yeah, it was funny because we started watching it together, and then I had left for somewhere, and she cheated and watched the rest of the series without me. I was kind of pissed about that. So I saw like 3 episodes, and I was like, "You cheated on me. You watched the whole fucking thing."
Where did you? What
did she pull one of those things where she goes, "Yeah, well, I watched it because I didn't think you liked it." And you're like, "What? Why would like we watch it every fucking week, and I don't like it all of a sudden?"
Yeah.
Dude, I just started watching that show. It is so fucking dude. Rip. He is the fucking best character.
Oh yeah.
Rip. Yeah. He's like he's a henchman.
Who's it? Is Kevin Costner?
Yeah, dude. Oh, don't get it twisted. Kevin fucking Costner is a fucking movie star. Like this guy pops off the screen. Like there's legit like everything he does. He's just he is the fucking best, right? So, but he's on there and he owns like this ranch, right, in Montana, the Yellowstone Ranch. I mean, I'm not giving away too much, but he has a guy who's like his right-hand man, and he's like his hitman, and his name's Rip. Is actually the actor Cole Hauser. I don't know if you remember the movie Good Will Hunting, but he's the redheaded dude from Good Will Hunting. Yeah. I've been looking for that guy for a while. I'm happy to see that.
Man, he's in a wrestling movie.
Is he really?
Yeah, it's like just came out like some Disney one. Yeah, like no, not. Like it just came out like a year ago, but I'm like looking at that. I'm like, holy shit, that's the guy from Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's not doing as well as the other guys from Good Will Hunting, but he's doing all right.
Hey man, he's doing good now. He's killing, dude. He's got to be everyone's favorite character on Yellowstone. He's got a tortured history, you know, tortured backstory. Does a lot of killing and badass stuff. Gotta love the guy. But all right, so I want to tell listeners. Usually, this is where we would get into the segment memory lane, but we don't have time for that bullshit today because we have Master Sergeant, Marine Recon Master Sergeant Nick Galante. So, like I said, Nick was born and raised in Lansdale, PA, land of the free, home of the brave. He did public school K through 12. He did some Boy Scouts growing up, played a little league baseball, some Cannoneers football, did some football in high school, and then ran a little track and did some rugby. right? But I want to get into this a little bit. I'll say this. Nick was a star football player, right? Stud. Nick, how did you like playing football? Because we've had a ton of football players on the show.
Matt, I know you didn't want to do a memory lane, but I do have a nomination. It's Matt Lavelle, circa 2005. If you want me to hit this.
Do you have the letter?
Wait, this is the letter?
Do you? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Matt,
We're fucking.
Matt Lavelle, 2005. That's my memory lane.
We're fucking. Okay. So let me
I
preview
usually save everything people send me. You know, I keep the the people. I don't know. I
You're a
appreciate
sentimental
everything.
guy.
Everybody. Yeah, exactly. Well, I save everything, for someday when I hit the lotto. I'll throw some cash at people to support me along the way. You know what I mean? But I just want to preface this. Like there's like Edgar Allan Poe, fucking I don't know who else is.
James Joyce.
Yeah,
Walt
James
Whitman.
Joyce, and then like
Peasants.
Matt Lavelle. So it may sound like I can't read, but I think it's just the handwriting, and the misspellings, and the grammatical errors in this thing. But there is some incriminating stuff here, Matt.
George R.R. Martin also does not, he doesn't do his own thing with punctuation. So that's the level we're talking about, Matt.
Yeah.
It's just the savant, right? The savants, don't matter about like grammatical errors. They just like put in info out there, right?
Fuck. Dude, you know how long I looked to find your letter? I was digging through so much shit. I was so mad when I couldn't find it. My wife's like, I think it's at my mother-in-law's salon where we keep our storage. I was like, fuck me. All right, but okay, so let's do this. So I wrote this to you during your first tour or your second tour?
I think this was my second tour. I mean, you can tell me by the writings in your life. I feel like it's my second tour though.
Okay. So well, you know what? You might have. I wonder if you. Yeah, it probably was your. If it's 2005, right? Then
I'm guessing it's 2005 time frame. By the way, this is kind of worded. All these.
Were there
time
any
frames
drawings?
There's no drawings, unfortunately.
Yeah,
There's no stickman or anything like that on this.
how many pages is it?
It's actually a pretty hefty letter. I'm surprised, Matt. He actually, like I said, it's some Edgar Allan Poe stuff right here.
Dude, well, I used to after we graduated high school, right? Like after we graduated, I didn't have a job, right? And like I was drinking and partying a lot and like doing all these things. Like how my house was. It was like people would just show up there wanting to do their thing, So like I was like, partying a lot and doing these things. And like at night when I was like I was drinking like by myself and stuff, like and partying by myself at times. And like I would like, dude, I would write, start writing the letter. And eventually like over time I finished the letter and I sent it because back then, and I don't know if it's still the same, but it fucking should be. But back then, as long as we had your mailing stuff, right? We could just send, we could take it to the post office and they're like, give me everything you have for the guys overseas. It's free, no matter what.
Yep.
Free shipping to the guys overseas, which is the way it should be. I don't know if it's still that way, but either way, I mean, finished letter and took it over. Okay, so this would be between the years 2004 to 2006 time frame. You received this in your second tour in Iraq, or you were in Iraq or Afghanistan at this time?
I was in Iraq. Yep.
Iraq, and we were not even 21, so we we're probably like 19, 20 years old. All right, go ahead, Nick. Hit us with the good stuff.
I'm gonna have to struggle through this, but like I said, if you can't see the handwriting, it's third grade class.
Dear Nick.
I feel like you had a fist, Matt. You had a fist in your.
Yeah. I was just like,
Dude, I'm just excited that it's not in Crown.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Was. Okay.
All right, here we go. It's long, but like I said, here we go. Dear Nick, yo, it's Lavelle. It's been way too long since you've been home. I miss you. I know everybody else does. What you are doing is a very great thing. And whenever people tell me to vote for Kerry, that Democrat, I tell them to shove it, or that I'm waiting for Nick to come home and tell me that those Iraqis are happy or not. I'll make my decision then from those who are enlightened by what happens before their eyes and not what they see on TV. See, it's kind of choppy, they're writing here. Something's been happening while you've been away. I couldn't go to college as planned because my old got cancer, so he needed me to go up and do his office work and make sure none of his workers fucked around for a little bit of the time. I felt almost as Italian as you, but then I remember if I'm not Irish, I'm nothing. So
side note, Found out my mom did a 23andMe, had no idea. I thought I was like Irish and German my whole life. My mom did a 23andMe, found out that my grandmom had been telling a little fib about who my mom's dad was. And turns out I am part Italian now. So the things you find out. Okay, so keep going. Sorry.
All right, me going pretty steady till last January when she needed time off for swimming for nationals because she said it's too much to handle. Personally, I think she's porking someone else, but we've been fucking on and off. But she's become more useless than a porno I've seen 1,000 times.
Okay, keep going.
All right. I was jobless for a while after I quit work, and I was having, let me see, I think this is around, or hanging around my house playing cards to get money to buy cigarettes and beer. It wasn't good, so I decided to go to bartending school. I came pretty natural to me, and I'm still working on my flair, bottle flipping, so I can hopefully be as good as Tom Cruise was in that movie Cocktail. But it took a while to find a job, but now I'm running food at this place called Vinny T's. It's on the main line near Villanova. It's already money, but I'm just buying my time till I get behind the bar and show these guys what I can do. So I don't know, that probably gives a time frame for this when this is, right?
Oh yeah. So yeah, this is probably like 2005 then, 2005, 2006. Yeah.
Nick, for Vinny T's kind of became the date spot for anybody that was friends with Matt. Like I was like, oh, I have a date. I'm taking her to Vinny T's. Like impress her a little bit. There you go.
Yeah. It was the spot, man. It was the spot. Yeah.
All right, let me see. When you come back, we have to go to Show and Tell. It's a strip club. It's a kind of dirty, but boobs are boobs. It's a sight to see for eyes.
Sight to see for eyes.
As opposed to the other organs you see out there.
Yeah. Lately, I've been smoking a lot of trees. I kind of want to stop, but there's nothing else to do besides drink, so you know it ain't so bad. The other week, their egg house with like a dozen eggs, and we fucking loaded on our house. It was great feeling because I hate the bitch, but the next day I called her like at 9 a.m. and yelled at her, and I was like, you fucking bitch, you egged my house.
So this is what happened.
You started out like, oh, we're kind of going steady, but she was kind of a bitch. But either way, it's almost like a porno. So then me and my friends egged their house.
Well,
like what?
So
and then blames her for it. Yeah.
Well, so what had happened is that so we had, dude, like we smoked her house. Like it was like probably like 24 eggs. It was like me and like crushed her house, right? And I was like, look, she's gonna know it's me, you know. And the next day I woke up like really early and I called her. I was like, you fucking bitch, you egged my fucking house. What the fuck is your problem? Fuck you. Don't ever fucking talk to me again. You're a stupid fucking whatever. You know what I mean? And she's like, no. What are you talking about? My house got egged. It's like, don't fucking lie to me. I know you egged my fucking house. So yeah, but you know, she still believes it to this day. So there you go.
Today, me and my older brother Tom invented it all ultimate badminton. It was unreal. The net's like 10 feet off the ground, and you can hit it off or you can hit the birdie more than once, and the only out of bounds is over the fence. It's fun. We played it in the rain. The other night, me and my brothers and my little brother's friend, and we got stoned and started rapping about fucking Christ. Started rapping about his house. It was so funny. We all had made up rap names. Mine was hard-boiled egg. Tom was scrambled. Alex was poached, and his friend was sunny side up.
Yo,
and our band name was called the Yokesters, and our song was called the Yokes on You Bitch.
Yokes on you, bitch.
So we had it was the way the line went. It was like the yolks on you, bitch. So that's how it went, and we all had a line.
Let me see. Bach had an empty house, so we went there and performed the song for Bach and his girl, and
we took it on
Danielle.
our own.
It was hilarious.
This was not just a
hey,
spontaneous. Let's show everyone what we made.
Yeah, we took
exactly.
it on the road.
It's weird sometimes. I think it was like only yesterday that me and Bach saw you in Staff Sergeant Murphy's office after you just signed up, but I guess the time does fly. Tom just turned 21 and he's got a house in Roxburgh. He has some nice parties. I'm not as good at beer pong as I used to be, but I don't think it's me, though. It's it's Bach. He's not as good as a partner as he used to be, but I can't abandon him. I think the shock would kill him. I have to take the train ride on the 115. I think it says I have to take the train ride. That's at 1:15 or an hour and 15 away. So I have to read a little bit on the train. So this actually proves that Matt Villel is not lying about reading. I read the biography of John McEnroe. Is that what it is? It was pretty good. I think it was. And I read Harry Potter 3, Harry Potter 4, and Harry Potter 5. Yeah. I just started reading this book called Artemis Fowl. I think it is, right?
Artemis Fowl.
It's all right. Artemis Fowl. Yep. It's all right. Anything to get me through the ride. I told my mom to pick me up some new books. I told her to get me this book called Makes Me Wanna Holler.
Yeah.
Mr. Williams read some of it in my geometry class in the 10th grade, but he never finished it, so I kind of want to read it. I also told her to get me some Andersonville. It's a book about prison camp.
Yeah.
In the Civil War. I heard it's crazy. I think the remains of the camp is still supposed to be the most haunted place in North America. It seems like something interesting. I don't know if Bach told you, but he's got a new girlfriend. Her name is, she's cute, but she's from Texas, and that's never a good thing. Petey's got a new chick. He's chilling with, she's 21. She has one leg and is hairy Canadian. Just kidding. I never seen her. She's supposed to have big boobs. That's always a plus, you know? So have you been to any brothels in Iraq? If you bring back a wife and 3 kids, I'll kill you. My cousin's a Marine. He's a ground pounder just like you. He was already over there and came back, but he's going over again soon. I'm not sure when. His name is Andrew. He was named after my dad. I haven't heard from Newman in a while. I hope he's all right, but if you never can tell, I'm sorry. I haven't got more to say, but I'll expect to be hearing from you. My dad always said when you're on duty, you miss your family and friends back home so bad you could cry. I mean, some people do that. And then hurry back so I can drink you under the table, you bastard. Sincerely, I think you botched sincerely, Kid Salami, aka Matt Lavelle. And so I appreciate the letter, Matt, over all these years.
Oh my God. When you read that
to your did you read it to the rest of the troops, like the people in your platoon?
Is that a thing? Like, do you guys read letters out?
I mean, yeah, crazy? we read each other's stuff. Like I said, it may have sounded like I was reading choppy, but you got like some cursive, some it's a good letter, Matt. I appreciate it. Definitely, I remember this put a smile on my face when I was over there for sure.
Hey man, good. Glad to hear it. Wow, a lot of things change.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
My God. Oh, well, that's how life was back then. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know. That's awesome, man. Good, dude. That's great that you kept it. But is that like a thing where when you guys would get mail, like, would you read like that letter, like, because like we were all really young at that time when that letter came out, right? So like it is kind of funny, you know what I mean? And when you're over there, right, like you had other buddies that you're the same age with, like that you were in boot camp with and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like you're like, dude, my fucking friend was like, what a fucking stooge. Like, read this. This is hilarious.
I don't think there's not that much to do over there, right? Like they're like I guess you get like maxims and things like sent over, but like you're always like looking for something to entertain. And your buddy sends over a letter like that. That's got to keep the entire bunk cracking up for a day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we share mail and stuff, especially when it's like, I mean, it's just a funny letter in general.
Yeah,
and I know your personality. I don't even know if you're trying to be funny or you're just telling me about your drunken pot smoking life at the time. It just, I guess, it's funny.
It's not as bad as Jarhead when the guy accidentally gets the sex tape of his wife, or I guess on purpose gets the sex tape of his wife.
Yeah.
Does that? I mean, man. I mean, well, plus two, when you receive that, it's like, because I remember when we talked to Hill. He was over there in the early 2000s, but then went over there again in like the the 2012, 2013. And obviously the technology between then is night and day, right? So when you were first over there, the technology was dog shit, right? Like, how was it awful?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I first went over there, it was just like letter, and then like every once in a while we can do like if we went back to base, we can do like a satellite phone call. I think my first deployment I had called my mom maybe like twice or 2 or 3 times. I like about like 8-9 months, but I mean, that was what it was.
Yeah, that was like because I Nick because like what was it? When did the war start? Was it 2000? Was it 2003 or?
Yeah, well, I mean, the United States went to, I think, Afghanistan in 2001. Then that was kind of like on like almost a down low, not make people realize that. And then 2003, we heavily invested in Iraq. Yeah.
Right. And so like I remember like the stories where like they hadn't ramped up the equipment production, so there were people that were like their kids were over in Iraq and they were sending them body armor because they're like, oh, we don't have body armor. So like it was just like when the troops were first on the ground, it was like a whole different like feel compared to what it is today, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, it was.
Man.
You guys gonna vote like Matt Lavelle 2005, circa 2005?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I never have voted, but that was like, so back then, right? Like it was like we were watching MTV was like the thing we would watch because we were young kids, right? And at that point, they were like trying to get all these young kids to vote and everyone to vote, and everyone's like saying like what the celebrity was saying or something like that, right? And I'm like to me in my mind, I'm like, you guys are such drones, like you're not really forming your own opinion. You're picking something that this media person is telling you to pick because you think their sneakers are cool or something stupid like that. So that's kind of what I was getting at, like, because people are saying like vote for Kerry, because he's a Democrat and Democrats are cool. And in my mind, they're both fucking douchebags, like Democrats and Republicans. I could give a shit. So, but either way, we don't talk about politics on this show. But
I meant vote on the Matt Lavelle 2005, like lame or that's what I'm talking about. Lame, like that was the memory lane topic, Matt Lavelle 2005, right?
I don't know. And I think I have to give that a Mondo Rad. That letter was all over the place.
Dude, I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot cut out of that letter. So when people hear this, just know you're not getting the whole fucking thing. But
like you can tell that letter was not written in one night. Like that letter was like weeks in the making, like just a stream of consciousness, written out.
So I was working. So I guess I think I started when I wasn't working, and then I got a job. And then like I would come home from work and like I was smoking cigarettes all the time and like because like when I started working in a restaurant and I was like a young kid, but like there's older people there and they're all in college and like I thought they were like super old, but like because we were 19, you know what I mean, and they're like 23, so I'm like, whoa, they're freaking so old, they
know everything.
Yeah, but they're like buying booze and like stuff for me and like showing me like different things and like partying and things like that. So like I'd come home and like do my thing, and then I'd write the letter. The letter took me a little while to write, but then eventually I was like got it done, ship it out.
And you went from going steady with your girl to egging her house real quick.
Yeah. I love her, and then
Dude, what did I say? Like I think she's like almost she's as useless.
She's working someone else,
and she's as useless as a porno now.
Yeah, page one. We've been fucking on and off, but you've become more useless than a porno I've seen 1,000 times. So.
That's an aged comment, right?
That's aged one.
Yeah. Oh well. So all right. So let's we're gonna vote on that, and that's Mondo Rad. What do you vote on it, Nick? Since you're
Rad, man. I appreciate the support, man. Great letter too. Thank you.
Dude, I can't believe you meant to vote the other thing. I'm such a fucking idiot.
Not Kerry about yourself. Yeah.
Well, but okay, so let's keep it moving. All right, so like we said, Nick, born in the land of free, home of the brave, Lansdale, Pennsylvania, went to public school K through 12, did some sports coming up, was a football star, did some track, played some baseball, rugby. He started his first job, which was, I feel like a lot of people start like this is like a good start job. We started in landscaping, right? So it was from like age 12 to 14. So it's all cash under the table. What do you think about?
It's also a good like that. Like I don't know, like when you're playing sports, like landscaping's a good job to have because like at that age, like landscaping's like lifting weights. It just like packs on the muscle.
Agreed. What do you think, Nick? How'd you like the landscaping?
I mean, I like landscaping now, but at that age, you're out in the summer, sweating your ass off. For some reason, I always felt like I was in situations where I was getting stung by bees. I got stung by bees like 1,000 times, digging holes. So like at the young age, you're doing all the shit jobs. But today, this time and age, I like landscaping my own property. But back then, it's like the shit work, you know what I mean? But I mean, it also makes you tough as a kid though. So it was I think a good experience. Yeah, a good experience. Get out there and get tough. Make some money on your own. Yeah.
So. And you need, I think kids need that, right? I think 100%, Bach's dad owned his own landscaping business. And when Bach wasn't there, I would have to help him. And I'm not going to lie, it ain't easy, that's a tough gig. Landscaping's a tough gig. but I mean, it is what it is. It's still, but no, you're right. Where it says like development of young kids, I think it's like, it's essential almost. It's one of those things where it's like, it humbles you because you see like what real hard work is, because that's hard work, man.
Oh yeah.
And you're busting your ass out in the heat all day. Oh, it's brutal. But okay, so then after you were done landscaping, you started working at a local restaurant called Perkins, right? And you were a busboy there, right? So we've talked about this before, and I was a busboy myself at an Italian place. But busboy is kind of like an entry level position in the restaurant business. What did you think? And like, to be fair, right? Like, I remember
it's sweet, like, because you get cash right away.
Yeah.
And you're like hanging out with adults. Like, that's the thing. Is like when you get a job at 14 and you're hanging out with like 21-year-olds that are drinking and smoking weed, like it's a pretty and you're getting cash every day.
Yeah, it's an eye-opening experience. Yeah, oh, for sure. You're like, and like, you're hanging out with these older people thinking like, oh, these are cool people. You know what I mean? Like, you're definitely like, like I agree. It's an eye-opening thing. Plus, dude, I think like that's another thing. Working in a restaurant is something that builds character. Like people need to know that their fucking ranch dressing isn't that important. You know what I mean? Like, but what did you think, Nick? How did you like doing the busboy gimmick and everything like that?
I mean, it was like my first real job. So yeah, it gave me like a sense of responsibility. Yeah, I was probably one of the younger kids there. I mean, there's a bunch of good looking waitresses that tipped me well if I like cleaned up their sections. There's also like all the shitty work.
Well by the waitresses.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's also all the shitty work, but I mean, it felt good actually having like a real job other than landscaping at the time. I got my working papers and, like pretty much worked throughout the weekends, but it was
working air
like I said, it was, yeah, working air conditioning. I mean, it was funny because like anytime I went there and work, I came home, my mom would always yell at me like, "Go change! You smell like cigarettes and syrup." From flushing tables because that's when they used to smoke. You know what I mean? So, like,
you get those smoking doors.
Yeah, cigarettes and syrup. I'll never forget that combo. But I mean, it was a job, and I think it's like any job at a young age gives you a sense of responsibility. It was tough work, but I mean, getting a paycheck in the day, you're like, you actually feel like a man. You know what I mean? So it's a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you put in a good day's work.
Mm-hmm.
That was Nick. I was actually a bouncer at McFadden's when they passed the law that you couldn't smoke in restaurants and bars anymore, and that was like interesting to explain to people. I'm like, yeah, you can drink all the poison you want and have unsafe sex with strangers, but don't smoke that.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah.
Dude, I was bartending at, I had passed got into bartend, never did the flare thing, but I was bartending, and it was the same thing. When I was bartending, they had the no more smoking indoors law, and it like, people were just like hated it, but honestly, it was better. Like, I didn't mind. I was sick of breathing in all that shit all the time, and even like I would smoke on and off for years, but it was still like.
Well, the best at the ballpark was there was guys that would come in and smoke cigars. I'm like, come on, dude. Like, seriously, you're going the full stogie in here? I'm like, we have a patio. Just go to the patio.
Yeah, I'm with you. Oh, man. The cigars were the worst. There is a reason like a cigar bars exist. I've never been to one, but.
Oh, they're pretty sweet.
Yeah.
The hotter than strip clubs.
Really?
Ashton Cigar Bar in Center City. All the chicks are like thigh highs, like skirts, like just like whew.
Is that the thing? Like, is that like their gimmick though? Like they want them to be all dolled up and stuff, and like.
I mean, I don't think they don't want them to be dolled up. Like, I think they're pretty happy about it. Yeah.
Damn. All right. Might have to try that, huh? All right. So I can't do that anymore because I'm married, so my life is over. But so then after Perkins, you got a job at Cosmo's Pizza. Now, this is an interesting thing because it was a pizza joint, but it's a pizza joint in the food court at the local mall, Montgomeryville Mall. And it was in the food court at a mall, this is a straight, like we've had people that worked in the mall, but never in the food court at a mall. So this is a very unique one.
Prime action. This is where everyone comes to the food court.
Yeah, exactly. So what did you think? Because eventually, right, you started at Cosmo's, but then there was also Sbarro's Pizza in the mall, and you eventually would work at both, right, Nick?
Yeah, I was sort of like a trader. I went back and forth between the two.
You worked at both places at the same time?
I did work at both places. I would work a shift at Cosmos, then like slide over to Sbarro's, and it would confuse the shit out of people because they would be like,
man, this guy's really Italian.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, the job was fun. You know what I mean? Like easy. Just make pizza, serve food, stuff like that, and you just like watch chick in yoga pants like walk by all day, and like it's the mall. You know what I mean? Like I would
Yeah.
see all my friends there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
how you
for
got
a
your
young
start in
man.
reconnaissance was at the mall, just like looking for scoping up the chicks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
Yes.
I mean, it was a good job. It wasn't hard. You know what I mean? The owner of Cosmos was straight up from like Italy, and the manager, he was great. An awesome dude. I actually stayed in touch with him like until he passed this past year, but I stayed in touch with that guy for years after the job. Just a great dude.
Oh,
Treated me
man.
really well. It was almost like a second father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would work there,
Yeah.
then he'd tell me all the terrible stuff you know about women. But it was a good place, a good environment. It was fun. That was probably one of the funner places I worked at was Cosmos. Sabaro, the staffer there was, whatever. I was just getting a paycheck, but Cosmos, I look forward to going there, and the guys I worked with were cool. You know what I mean? Like, and the dude was straight up like Italian as hell. You know what I mean? Just like standard. Like when I first started working, I could barely understand him. But it was a good place,
Dude, those are the best places, especially as a young kid. They're like so big for your development because it's like you're going in there and like you're kind of seeing like how to behave too. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like this guy's like teaching you like a bunch of things and how to talk, and like, to be fair, like I've worked in a ton of kitchens and we've all worked at restaurants and things like that, where it's like it's almost like times where it's like a locker room setting. You know what I mean? Where it's like, look, we can talk like this in here with the guys and bullshit and all that. But like, it's different when you get out there. But like, like when you're real young, they're teaching you words like, what the hell is a, like, what is a schwingy or whatever, like,
What's a milking table?
Yeah. What's an HJ,
I mean, he was great too. Cause I'd be like, serving up food or whatever. And he'd be like, hey, you come here. He's like, and he would call me like his son, be like, you give me his son, your number or what? Like he pulled numbers for me, which is crazy. And I was like, yeah, so he was a cool dude. He probably got more phone numbers from girls for me than, I got them myself. It was pretty crazy. And he was like a smooth talker,
He was like your Yoda.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
Yep.
Nice. All right, cool. So, all right. So you worked from there, you did the food court and the counter and all that. But then after that, you went to the Best Buy in Montgomeryville, right? Mm-hmm. And you worked, you worked in like the car section, right? Like it was a car stereo section, right?
Yeah. I just sold like, I sold like the speakers and, like the tape decks or CD decks and stuff like that. And then learned about a little installing and stuff too, but mostly sold the stuff.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that exciting. It was actually my first job where, like I worked landscaping, busing, and the pizza place required a lot of work. And then Best Buy, I'm just like, I almost like didn't know what to do. They're like, just stand here and wait for somebody to come by. You know what I mean? Like, and, I come by and talk to them. I was so used to like sweeping tables, like, like sweeping floors, cleaning stuff. And I was like, sat there like, hey, how you doing? You want to buy, like cassette?
It's more like 40-year-old virgin than people think.
Yeah, I mean, you just stand. It wasn't, and actually, I was getting paid more doing that, but it was like kind of crazy because it was like way less work than I was used to. So I was like, it was like almost a shock for me. Like, oh, I'm not like scrubbing the floor right now. I just need to stand here and talk to people and like ring them out, or it was like a shock for me almost.
That's awesome. And then it says here you went from the Best Buy in Montgomeryville to the Friendlies in Montgomeryville.
Yeah, I was kind of working. Like Best Buy wasn't that taxing for me, so Friendlies was like right there by Best Buy, and I.
So this was just like I want to increase my hours, get some more
increase
pay.
My hours. Yeah, I went to Friendlies a couple times and had some good looking waitresses. So I'm like, I need to buy into this place. So I got a job.
That's where every high school girl gets their start is Friendlies. Every high school girl gets their start waiting.
I know. So I was like, what better way to infiltrate and get a job as like a waiter, So I got a job as a waiter there for, couple months or like that, and I was just probably the worst fucking waiter you can possibly ask for. They actually kind of just like, they were like, you're supposed to do like the stupid like pre-training, but they're like, oh, have you like done this type of stuff before? I was like, yeah, I worked at a pizza place. It wasn't exactly a waiter. Like, yeah, you can just skip all that and like start like today, and like I had no clue what I was doing. Just like terrible.
What was
waiter.
one of your like? What was one of your fuck up stories? What made you a bad waiter? What was a good example?
Well, Friendlies, you're supposed to make these fucking like little like ice cream monster sundaes, like put little faces on them.
Yeah. And, the whole reason people go to Friendlies is it's like saying, oh, McDonald's, they do their Happy Meals,
Yeah. I just put together this fucked up little like friendly monster guy made out of fucking M&Ms and Reese's Pieces, like shit, and like here's your fucking sundae. Go fuck yourself.
Some little kids like. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, why
Come
does it
back
look
when
like
your
an
mom's
axe
better
murderer?
looking, and I'll make you a better Sunday.
Yeah,
kid.
make you a better Sunday. But I mean, like when I started working at Friendly's, I already knew I think I enlisted in high school for the Marine Corps, so I
Yeah.
was like, I'm just making cash right now.
Yeah.
But just trying to make some extra money. That's all before I go. So it's not like I'm invested in this job,
Yeah.
So
Okay. So after you got done working at Best Buy and Friendlies, right? Then that's kind of when like you said, you had already signed up for the Marines at that time. So what was like your motivation behind going into the Marines? Now I remember like dude, and I know we don't get political on this show, but back then, right? Like after 9/11 happened, everyone had a freaking American flag in their yard and on their house. Like it was fucking, we're America together. Like, you know what I mean? Like very unified country. So that's like when you like signed up. So what was kind of like your motivation and your thought to sign up for the Marine Corps?
well, I would actually have to partially blame my father because my father had me watching like Commando and Predator at the age of like 3. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's sort of his fault with that aspect. But then obviously I always had kind of interest in the military from like that type of stuff. My dad was always like diehard like action hero guy, so I always thought it was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But then you had 9/11 happen, and like I look back at my like grandfather who was a World War II vet who stormed the beach at Normandy, and then my other grandfather who was on the USS Washington, which is one of like the most I guess seasoned battleships in World War II as well. So both of my grandfathers were like pretty much like heroes to me, being in the Navy and Army, and like I thought, 9/11 happened, our country's going to war. So I thought, I followed their footsteps and almost like, do my part as American and enlist as well.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my driving factor with that.
Dude, that's fucking badass. Like your grandfather stormed the beach at Normandy. That's unreal.
Yeah,
and then so wait, he was on the US. Was he in the battle
Yeah,
of
I
Leyte
read something
Gulf?
like still there. If you go to the beach now, like 5% of the sand is like shrapnel from D-Day.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, my mother's father was in the Army. He was originally, it was funny because he didn't really talk about it that much till after I joined.
Yeah.
But he was originally a cavalryman, like he rode horses, and then
like
he always bitched about it because he's like, we trained up on all these horses, and you better bet your ass we never touched a damn horse in World War II. We walked everywhere, but he traded in his horse for like he was a bazooka gunner, so he lost like all hearing in the side. He was launching the bazookas.
Oh
with,
shit!
But he was there like throughout the I don't know what is it like 3-4 years of the whole war or whatever. He was I think he was also in Battle of the Bulge and tons of different
Holy
battles.
shit.
So yeah, so
Wow.
my mother's father was pretty much a badass. He never, like I said, he never really talked about it, but like when he got older and I joined the Marines, and he kind of like talked about it a little more.
Yeah.
And then my father's father was on the USS Wash, and he was like a boatswain mate and manned some of the guns on the boat, and they're in all sorts of crazy battles with the USS Wash. So it's kind of part
built
of my
in the Philadelphia
lineage.
Naval Shipyard, Nick. There you go.
Yep.
That
yep.
Washington was built in Philly. Yeah.
Wow. That's
So
dude. Well, that's also like, so I know my grandfather he went to Annapolis. He graduated from the same graduating class as Jimmy Carter, right? Like, and he was in the Navy, and he was in the Battle of Leyte Gulf when he was in World War II. So like, like it is, I'm not gonna lie, like there is like a lot of like to have that in your lineage as like, like especially if someone fought in World War II, right? And even if like crazy if they fought in a war previous to that, like, you know what I mean? Like that's incredible, man. And that's awesome that you were able to follow in their footsteps and serve your country. And there's nothing wrong with that too. That's like I feel like people frown on that nowadays, but that's a respectable thing, and you did the right, like did a great thing, and we're all better off for it. So, and that's pretty badass. Like that's two badass fucking like kind of living up to that. Like they can always say, like, you can tell your grandfather like all these cool things that you've done, and he can be like, yeah, well, I stormed the fucking beach, so go
fucking pussy.
yeah. He's like,
it's tough to beat storming the beach. Like that's
yeah. He's like, let me know when you storm the fucking beach in Normandy. All right, tough guy.
Yeah.
You know what I read recently? So I love the on the Reddits. I love the Today I Learned and the Ask Historians, and I didn't realize that apparently like one of the Roosevelts, like Theodore Roosevelt's like son, stormed the beach at Normandy, but he was in his 50s and he had a cane. And so
That's
he was like he was a 3-star general, and they stormed the beach, and his platoon landed on the wrong spot, and he just started directing them right there. He's like, nope, we're going to set up shop right here and start attacking, because otherwise it'll take too long to join everyone else. And like, you know, they ended up like succeeding, but it was like kind of crazy. And then he died over there from a heart attack. Like he stormed the beach on Normandy, and he dies from a heart attack like 2 months later.
I know. So Teddy Roosevelt's son, because FDR was the president at the time, who was his nephew, right?
He was like a second cousin or a third cousin.
So you're right. I think it's because I think it was his. I forget who, but yeah, they're related, like second cousin or something. But if you ever, so I don't know. Do you know who Ken Burns is? Right, he does
makes all the documentaries.
He did. So he did a Vietnam one, which was fucking incredible. He did a Civil War one, which was incredible, and then he's done a Roosevelt's one too, which is really, really good. And I'm a big history guy, so like seeing all that stuff, like, dude, Teddy Roosevelt, he was a freaking man. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. So this is Teddy Jr. Storming the beach of Normandy with a cane in his 50s, and they land on the wrong spot. But like the picture, I was just like, this is pretty badass. So let me know if you guys can see it.
oh,
There you go. Got the cane right there. Like they land on the wrong spot. And he just tells me, he's like, look, we got to set up shop right here. There's no time to meet up with everybody else.
I feel like he wasn't part of the first wave. Yeah.
Is that him? Or is that William? That looks like William Holden, the actor. Is that?
Oh, maybe this is a movie based on him. So this is him. I know that's him.
Oh wow.
With his cane there.
Jesus, what an ugly son of a bitch.
Maybe there are no pictures of him on the beach. Yeah, I guess that would make sense. And then here he is, dies on the battle. But yeah, like it was like a heart attack that took him out.
No shit, man. Awesome, dude. That's awesome. So
that's a lineage that it's a shame that family line died there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So nice, dude. Thanks, Pete. That was great. Okay. So I think that was Fonda's dad, James Fonda. Maybe, I don't know.
Peter Fonda.
Maybe. Okay. So let's keep it moving. So your like we talked about your motivation, but I want to talk about this. So when we had Brandon Hill on, U.S. Marine Brandon Hill, he was on, and he had talked about how he enrolled, like you take a test when you sign up for the Marine Corps, and when you sign up, you can qualify to be in different things, right? Depending on how you score on this test. So like you could be in communications or, something like that, where like, maybe you could be sent to work on like a mechanic shop or HVAC or, different things. You can have different assignments, right? Nick here. And so what Brandon did though, Brandon had qualified for certain things, but he did open enrollment. So they kind of just took him and threw him where they needed him. Nick, he had qualified for anything. Like he could have signed up for any branch of the Marine Corps he wanted, but he specifically said he wanted to be in the infantry, right? And he wanted to be, it was a 0311. Is that right, Nick? That's the rifleman?
Yeah, or 03 is infantry in general. So yeah, there's 03 and then there's a couple like numbers at the end of it specifies what your job is. But yeah, the ASVAP is the actual test you take. You take it like when you go to the recruit, you go to the crew's office, you take the ASVAP based off of like how you score. They can show you like what job placements you can get. And yeah, I scored high, but I was like, whatever the hell job it is to get me to like the front lines, like send me to that one. They're like, well, you're talking about infantry, and I brought up my grandfather and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, you want infantry then? I'm like, cool, sign me up for that.
Dude, that's awesome. So like so you legit wanted to be the guy, like, front lines, kicking down the doors and like kicking some ass and like doing the thing, dude. That is badass. And you're not like, if you're infantry in the Marine and you want to be the very first guy in the Marine Corps, that means you're the very first guy out of everybody, because Marines are the first ones on the battlefield, right?
Yeah, I mean, they send in the Marines first for most like conflicts, and infantry are the guys, going forward, like fighting whatever enemy force are with them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dude, that's incredible. We had another guy I remember that we went to school with. We'll shout him out. I mean, I don't know. Do you think Jeff Ware would want to be shouted out?
Yeah, I don't think he gives a crap. I mean, there's a bunch of dudes who from our class. I mean, our class was kind of like the wave of like, it seemed like there's a rash of like Marines that came out of our class. It was kind of crazy, but Jeff was one of them. There was I think there was more guys who like kind of went towards the infantry or like they call it combat arms. Like you're infantry, but you also be like, artillery is combat arms, and like
Yeah.
a tanker is combat arms. So like there's a
Yeah.
lot of guys who went that route to like, versus like support positions. So
Yeah. I
but
know
yeah,
that
a lot of guys.
I know that Jeff was another one like you, where when he took the test, he was like super smart. He was in advanced
yeah.
placement classes. Like he was like a genius, like a serious
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah, Jeff
But-
was fucking like playing stocks when he was playing on the stock market when he was like fucking like 14 years old making money.
Yeah.
He's smart kid.
Yeah.
And he was like same deal, like fuck it, like infantry, send me. So
yeah, he qualified for everything, but his whole thing was he wanted to man the 50 caliber machine gun on the back of a Humvee or something,
Yep.
That's what he wanted to be. But that dude,
Mhm.
that just shows you like the level of like badass, where it's like, like you guys weren't like, you guys had futures, like some.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying like, I'm not saying the military isn't a future. What I'm saying is like a lot of times what will happen is people see the military as like a way out, as like a last resort, as like, I couldn't do this, so I might as well join the military.
Well, what it is at the end of the day, like the military has great benefits. You know what I mean? Like,
It's a great
like
career.
it
It's a
pays for
great
school.
career.
Like so like it gives you a lot of options. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, as somebody that graduated with 70,000 in student debt, like it's not a bad idea to do reserves and have it paid for and do the ROTC and all that kind of stuff. Like it makes a lot of sense financially and academically.
Yeah, I remember. I think Nick. I think it was like one of the second, or maybe it'd have to have been after your third tour. But you had come home, and it was me and you and whoever we were seeing at that time. We went to Graham's for like a party or something. And I remember we were at Graham's, like hanging out, shooting pool, just doing the thing. And this guy came in and had his son, and his son wanted to like he wanted to introduce his son to you. Right. And I was like, because he wants to join the military and like be in a military academy or something like that. And I remember you said to him, you're like, hey, like, hi, how are you? Blah, 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 talking for a little bit. And then one of the things you said was like, it's a great career. It is a great career, and it's true. The military is a great career. It shouldn't be like, some people view it as like a last option for like, some people that don't have money or couldn't do certain things. It's not. The military should be like considered some of the first options,
It's also not the easiest thing to get into. Like,
Agreed.
during time, like war, like, or whatever, sometimes they lower the standards, but like you'll see in there where it's like, sometimes you have to have the high school degree. They don't like let anyone with a GD. Yeah. And then sometimes you see people in the recruiting class where the recruiting officer is like, dude, did you seriously think I was going to sign you up today? Like, your entire back is covered in a dragon and you're 300 pounds. I don't think you're going to make it through boot camp, bud.
Yeah.
I think each branch has like different like qualifications.
Yeah.
Obviously during wartime they're like, we need motherfuckers. But,
We need bodies, but that's like any industry. I remember getting hired in accounting during like the global financial crisis. Like we need like they took any could add 1 and 1 together. Like
yeah. I mean, for the Marine Corps in general, you have to be like, entry level, like physical fitness tests. You have to pass the ASVAB with a certain score, and you can't have any medical problems, stuff like that. So they're not going to just grab anybody off the street.
True.
Air Force is kind of crazy because Air Force, their academic requirements are actually like, I think the highest of all of them. You have to be like generally smart. Like when people say like
everyone
people
wants to they watch Top Gun.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying in general, people are like dumb in the military. It's like not every, it depends on what you do, the branches, but I mean, you don't have to, you're not, and most people who join the military are not really unintelligent or a last option. You can make a career out of it. You don't have to be like an infantry guy. There's plenty of other jobs. Like Hill in his job was logistics. There's jobs in intel. There's stuff that you can do in the military, doesn't keep you in the field or in the combat zone all the time. You know what I mean? You can build a career off of it. And some of those jobs will set you up for when you get out. You know what I mean? You work in, you go be a pilot for the military. Those guys transition out and go be a pilot in the civilian world, making like 3 times as much money. You know what I mean? Or like intel guys, stuff like that. So it opens doors for a lot of people.
Yeah, you can do communication, telecom, all that kind of stuff. Like there's all kinds of, good fields. I remember Ken Haverly, like he got into a pretty good field afterwards. He was a grade older than us.
Yep.
Yeah. And he was a guy, I remember Haverly, because Haverly was a big guy, right? You remember from the football team, he was like 300 pounds. And so he kept going to boot camp and they kept sending him back like, nope, you need to lose 20 more. And like, I think it took him like 4 times before they finally took him in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's good though. I mean, but this is also to be said. You're saying there is a lot of, you need to be smart to be in certain branches of the military, but it doesn't mean that the infantry guys are dopes, right? Like if you're an infantry guy, right? Like you have to have certain skills that you can be book smart as you want, But if you don't have leadership skills and teamwork skills and hard work and all that stuff, you're not gonna survive, right? Like you need,
I mean, you may last for a certain period of time, but then you're expected to get promoted and start leading people. And if you don't do that, then you don't. So most of those guys like will do 4 years and leave the Marine Corps. You know what I mean? Like they don't excel or go past that time frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to develop skills, leadership skills, and like responsibility stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, good. And that, hey man, and like, dude, that's like a great thing. And not a lot of people can say that they can do that, and like under it, like anyone can say that they can do all this stuff, but until you're in this situation, until you really lived it, then you have no idea what you're talking about, and it's a real, like, no one, I mean, me and Pete, I mean, knock on wood, I've never been in a life or death situation as of now, but who knows, maybe I could be. I mean, I am married. That's kind of a life or death situation, but but you know what I mean? Like to know, like, you can handle yourself and control yourself and be a leader to others in those kind of situations is, I feel that's a great skill to have. So, okay. So let's talk about this. So we had your motivation for joining the Marine Corps with your parent, like your lineage and 9/11 and like, just like wanting to do that kind of thing. You go in, you picked to be in the military because we had talked about this on the previous show about the Pogue stigma, right? Where it's like person other than grunt has a stigma of being like, you're not fighting on the front lines. You're not like, you're not doing all that stuff. So then you get you sign up and everything like that. You go in infantry, but then you're in boot camp. So what is boot camp like for you as a Marine?
I mean, I'm sure.
Infantry?
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's seen the movies and heard about that stuff, but like Marine Corps boot camp, but it's just they pretty much take up all your time, like treat you like shit for like 13 weeks straight. You know what I mean? There's a lot of physically it wasn't that hard for me because I was played sports and stuff like that. Mentally, like I said, like I did fine in that aspect, but like where a lot of guys get broken is like mentally you're being treated like shit, you're away from your families. That kind of like eats away at guys. I mean, for me it didn't really affect me too much. I thought boot camp wasn't that difficult. It's just about like them taking your time. No matter what you do, you're always fucking wrong. But it also, like I talked to you before, Matt, about it teaches you how to like start relying on others regardless of where they're from, what their race is or whatever that, and start like learning how to like whoever the guy is next to you, you start building that bond and like teamwork. So that's kind of what they pretty much like wipe you clean of what you've learned in the world so far and teach you how to like become a team, like a team person, like working as a team, building that like relationship with other people. It's like a Marine pretty much. Yeah.
Is that like you couldn't ask the staff sergeant a question, so it's like, all right, I better ask the guy next to me if he heard it, because otherwise I'm fucked. Like,
yeah. You don't ask fucking questions there. Like, you ask questions, you're getting fucking screamed at. And it's funny. Sometimes it's funny because like no matter what you do, you're a fucking they call you a recruit there. You don't call their name. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, like take apart your rifle and start taking apart. You're like, you do it fast as fuck, and they're like, that wasn't fast enough, do it again. You know what I mean? Like, clean the fucking, scrub the fucking floor, and just like they're screaming in your face like faster. Like just all the shit that like mentally break you. You know what I mean? And some guys it breaks them very well, and then some guys it doesn't. For me, it was kind of like, all right, I just gotta make it 13 weeks through this and do the fucking push-ups and
Galante, why'd you take that gun apart so fast? Because you told me to, Jill.
Yeah, I know. I love that quote. They never compliment you. They never compliment you. I can tell you that. So.
Oh man, but dude, I mean, but also that's part of like the motivation of bringing you guys together because you rally around like like you're like don't give that son of a bitch the satisfaction of seeing you quit kind of thing. Like when the drill sergeant's giving you shit. So that's how you guys like. You would rally around. I remember in, and I know we don't want to base a lot of this discussion off of like movies, but in Band of Brothers, in like the first episode, Ross from Friends, David Schwimmer's character, he's like a total prick. Yeah, he's a total prick.
Douche. I hate him and everything else after that movie.
Yeah, but he was a big but the thing was he played the role because the guy even said it. He was like, there's no guy in this platoon that wouldn't double time it up a mountain to piss in his coffee. That like he brought the team together out of hatred for him, and I feel like that's kind of like the motivation, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much motivation, and also like I guess a part of it as well is like a immediate immediate response to orders too. Because like I mean, in the regular world, you like they tell you to do something, you fucking do it, and that like plays a role in like combat. You get an order and you fucking do it without question. You know what I mean? That's where they kind of start building that into you, like fucking like charge the fucking hill, and you're just like Roger that. You know what I mean? That's where it starts to get, I guess, ingrained into your mind.
Yeah.
So immediate response to orders. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. No, I guess. Yeah, you're right. And also too, like, like they're your common enemy and like immediately responding to orders, like all that. Yeah. I guess, I mean, that's part of why we do have the greatest military in, human existence. So, big ups to us. So, okay. So, after you do boot camp, right? You go through the boot camp, and we've all seen the movies, like Nick said, where they're yelling in his face, but he's getting
how
through
many weeks
everything.
again is it, Nick? It's how many?
13.
I think it's still the same. Yeah, I think it's still 13 weeks. Yeah, 13 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And then in the middle of the summer too, like down there in
Oh yeah, you joined in this because I remember. I don't know if we can air this, but dude, this is how awesome your parents were. Remember we had that big, huge party before you left?
Oh yeah,
that was awesome, huh? What a time.
Yeah, they're like,
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't think they care. They were like, fuck it, just do whatever, you're leaving. Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, dude, have some fun, do your thing. I remember we were like in the kitchen and your mom was like, I'm so nervous, something's gonna happen. I was like, look, nothing's gonna happen, Miss Galante. I'll take care of everything. And she was like, Nick, who's this idiot? And I'm like,
Kid Salami's got it.
Yeah. No, dude, that was a
I'm like, oh, you beat up those people that stole his Walkman. And she's like, what? I'm like, oh, never mind.
Dude, I remember that. That was a great party. Killer party.
That was a good time.
Yeah. So, okay. So, you go through boot camp, and after boot camp, this is where you go for what's called MOS training. So, military occupational specialty, right?
Yep, correct. Yeah. So after boot camp, everybody goes to whatever they like enlisted for their specific job. So like, infantry goes to infantry school, logistics goes to logistics schools. Like they're all over different parts of the country. Yeah.
Yeah. Where, so when you go to your MOS training, you were infantry training and 0311. So the 0311 is considered, that's your MOS number.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So what kind of thing, I mean, I don't give away too much, but is it like, so don't give away too much, but is it kind of like, like what we see in the movies where they have like the bayonet training, the hand-to-hand combat training, the, shooting range and like all that kind of stuff go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like a lot of stuff you see in movies or documentaries or whatever. Yeah. They teach you like how to patrol, you get more into shooting, like basic of like clearing buildings and, like how to operate in a squad and stuff like that. So, and like the time that I went through, there was a lot of cross training, especially when we went later on to my unit, but like it's about training on different infantry weapons and stuff like that. And since I've been to that school, which was back in like 2003, there's been like tons of advancements in the school. So I think the guys are better off than what I was, but yeah, it's just a add on to like basic training and more
situational, like this is kind of what you do in this.
Yeah, it's building on like how to be infantryman and building our infantry skills. In boot camps, like team building, this progresses into like infantry skills and shooting and like patrolling and stuff like that. Like how to operate in a squad and a team and stuff like that. So,
would you say like how do you think you can point out like a big difference technology wise from when you were in boot camp as to now, like the technology they have now, like do you coordinate stuff with like drones and things like that? Like that wasn't there when you were in boot camp.
Oh hell,
right?
hell no.
You just like tweet the drone like here, strike here, like is that
No, I mean in boot camp you don't do that stuff. In school infantry, I mean there's like better weapons and like optics and stuff like that we use now. So like back then when I was in school infantry, like you had like a fucking rifle and I don't even think everybody had a pair of night vision. You know what I mean? Like, like there wasn't enough stuff to go around. Yeah.
Now, I remember like people were sending like if they found out their kid, like if you had money and your kid was a Marine, like I'm going to send you the night vision goggles, there's like your Christmas
body armor.
Yeah.
Wow. And is that all stuff standard now?
Oh yeah. Like the Marine Corps and, across the DoD wide, the military's way because of the war, a lot of money got put in the military. Yeah. And, there's a lot of like great stuff out there that the military uses at this point, like better weapons, better optics, night vision, stuff like that. So It's,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
it
not
was
to get
also
political, but I remember like I think it was like I don't know when Robert Gates got over like they kind of like changed because before that the military spent a lot of money on like theoretical things in the future. And he's like, yeah, that's great, but like we fucking need this shit on the ground right now, so let's like take
Yeah,
that
yeah.
money and just start sending body armor and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah,
Yep,
we
yep.
need it, dude. Absolutely, the safety of the troops should be number one, especially when it comes
Mhm.
to military stuff. Also, too, if we want to remain as a military superpower, we need to have like the best stuff that you available, right? Like
Mhm.
that's.
Right.
I mean, we're not. Let's not get too political, but okay.
Mm.
So, okay. So you do boot camp, you do your MOS training. So soon as you're done infantry training, right? You were shit. So you were done the infantry. You did boot camp, right? 13 weeks, and you go from boot camp to MOS training. So then, as soon as you're done your infantry training, you were shipped to Iraq, and you were at this point you had only been in the Marine Corps for 7 months, and you were 18 years old, and you were on a plane to Iraq, right?
Yeah, I pretty much graduated the like school infantry, and then I actually went to my duty station. It was in 29 Palms, California, which is the Mojave Desert, and then I was there for I was like no more than a week, and they pretty much showed up and like welcome boot, fucking don't unpack. That's what they call like new guys boots, you know, and they're like
Yeah.
welcome boot, don't unpack your shit because we're leaving in like it was like a week and a half or something like that. So I was there for not very long of a time from what I remember, and then we flew from United States to Kuwait, did some time in Kuwait, like just like I think it was like 1 to 2 weeks of like learning how to drive a Humvee, like zeroing our weapons, you know, getting to know the guys I was going to work with, and then yeah, we went and drove into Iraq.
Wow. And so we had already been in Iraq at that time? You weren't the first wave?
No, it was we had been in Iraq for I think few months, so like like my unit was like kind of like my unit was actually waiting for Marines to fulfill their like rosters to go. So my unit was like kind of playing like catch up. We went in, I think it was either January or February 2004 timeframe. So we, you know, just, like I said, went to Kuwait, like I said, and then just drove like it was like 500 miles into Iraq somewhere.
Wow, that's crazy. What, and is it at night when you're doing this?
When we did that convoy, it was like night, day, you know, just however long it took us to
500
drive.
miles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty far. Yeah.
Dude, so where are you? Front seat, back seat? Where are you at?
At the time, it's funny because I had like just learned how to drive the fucking vehicle, but we rotated through. I mean, it's like driving a fucking truck, I guess, but we rotated through based off of like how much sleep we had. So like I was either in the back of the truck, like on security, or like a driver got tired, we rotated out. So
nice, dude. That's awesome. I remember you used to do this thing in high school where if you're behind something slow on the road, you would put your car in neutral and rev your engine behind them. You weren't doing any of that shit over there, were you?
No. Yeah.
Nice. So, dude, that's badass. When we did the pre-show, you didn't say anything about you actually driving the Humvee. That's awesome. So
yeah, it's normal thing to drive a truck.
Yeah, I guess normal for you.
Yeah, normal for me. Yeah.
Okay, quick question. So one of the things I did want to talk about is movie. So, and we talked about this in the pre-show, and I brought this up on the show before. In the fighting game, right? Fighting movies, they're kind of like shit on a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason is because like they can be over dramatic, like it can over dramatic the situation a little bit, right? Where like fighting is more this than this kind of thing. You know, there is heart and stuff involved, but if
you get hit on the button, you're going down.
Right. But it's a movie, so it's made more dramatic than it would be in real life, right? So, but there are some parts of it that are accurate, right? There are some things that are accurate about the fighting movies. What would you say as far as like the military stuff is like one of the most accurate depictions of a military movie, would you say, in your experience?
I mean, that's kind of hard. I think we mentioned like Generation Kill a little bit. They're pretty like somewhat. I mean, obviously it's Hollywood and they exaggerate stuff too, but Generation Kill definitely like highlighted some of like there's definitely lulls and boredom, you know, when you're deployed and like, you know, guys are fucking joking around and, you know, like they had a little bit of that and everything in there. But I mean, the humor's there. Like some of the funniest shit I've ever fucking seen is military guys just fucking off and doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
But you know, because you had a bunch of dudes like full fucking testosterone being idiots all the time. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I think Generation Kill tried to be very close. I'm trying to think of another movie that, like, most movies over glorify a lot of shit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And like over
Yeah.
like dramatized stuff and whatever. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
What
but
about Jarhead? Like that was one that I was always. Is this kind of, but that was like the first Gulf War, I guess. It wasn't the
Dude,
second Gulf War.
I remember someone had saying like, because there's the one scene where the guy freaks out about not being able to, you know, where they're not being able to shoot the guy with the sniper shot, and he's like, it's Peter Sarsgaard's character's like, that was my kill, right? And he's yelling at like this, you know, high-ranking guy. That would never fucking happen, right, Nick? Like he would be destroyed, right? Like if someone yelled at a ranking officer about like a command, right? Like wouldn't he be just destroyed? I don't know. What do you say?
I mean, yeah, if he did that, he would probably be destroyed. But you know, if he should just fucking take the goddamn shot anyway, I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck you, you know, and deal with the repercussions later. Yeah.
Yeah. If you wanted it that bad, you should have fucking done it. I agree.
Take the shot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they're blowing up the tower, what the fuck's it matter?
It doesn't
right?
matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. One extra bullet.
Jarhead, I saw that movie years ago. You know, I don't think it was. I mean, a lot of Hollywood bullshit in there. Yeah, the guy from Brokeback Mountain and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. That I mean, but I mean, I guess there's some kind of things that are. I mean, everything there's going to be a thing of accuracy, but there's some of it where it just had to be just a little too much. But
I think the last Rambo was probably the most accurate one when he got his niece back from Mexico. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I thought, yeah.
Every Rambo is probably. I mean, they're all based on true events. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's how it goes. But nice. So okay. So speaking of Generation Kill, which for those of you who haven't seen it, I think it's a great show.
I just started watching it today because of this podcast. You were telling me that, like, you know, had
it's
Nick
so
and some
good.
people that had worked on the show or something.
And we'll talk. For those of you who have seen it, there's some characters on there that Nick has actually worked with in the field. Some of the guys, and he knows them. So we'll get into that a little more later. But there's something in the show that I wanted to talk about. There's a scene in the show where, like, you know, they have MREs, and we'll talk about MREs and things like that. But what's the deal with charms? Is that a real thing, Nick?
Yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, like, you can talk about it. It's like, no, they're candies. There's some like bullshit, like almost knockoff of a lifesaver, it seems like. But there's always some. It's like an old infantry wives' tale, and they actually removed them from MREs. They don't like exist in there anymore. But everybody was saying that, like, if you eat charms in the field, it's gonna like rain on you. Or if you eat charms, like, you know, in a combat zone, you're gonna get fucking blown up by an ID or shot. Or so, like, everybody like would always like not eat the charms. Or you see like a new guy eating the charms, you're like, fuck you, like throw that away. You know what I mean? It was just like this old like kind of like rabbit's foot kind of like.
But why'd they give me the candy if I can't eat it?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, that's kind of what happens. Yeah, that's kind of what happens. It was like a younger recruit was eating the charms, and the one like veteran smells it, and he's like, who the fuck has charms in this car? You know?
Yeah.
So nice. So okay, so let's keep it going. So speaking of, so you're 18, you're in Iraq, you drove 500 miles from Kuwait to Iraq, you're there, you're at this point you're a private first class, is that right?
Yeah, private first class. Yep.
Okay, so what was it like? From everyone I've talked to that's been over there, they said it's ungodly hot and the food was crap. So speaking of MREs, how were MREs back then as opposed to now, and like how does it kind of work, like the doling out of them and things like that? Can you give us like a background on that?
Yeah, I mean, like everything else in the military, it has improved. You know what I mean? Like the MREs are like way better. They started like adding, I guess, better nutritional value to them, you know, based off of like, you know, what was in them. But like back in 2003-4 time frame, they were like not fucking great. I can tell you that. Not great. So it wasn't meal of choice, but it was kind of something you just had to like fucking like shovel down and, you know, get the energy.
Yeah.
But I think I talked about. Yeah, I talked about. I think the worst like feared meal was like beef steak with mushrooms, and we just call it beef, or we just call it tube steak with mushrooms, like dick steak or whatever. But it was like this piece of, it was like a log of meat that was covered in like brown gravy, kind of like the same color as you ever do biscuit and gravy.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like the same color as that, and then just like diced up mushrooms. It was fucking terrible,
But, like,
god awful.
also remember this, Pete. It's 130 degrees there, right?
Yep.
These things are in a box in a truck, right? Is that right, Nick? So they're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
in a box.
sitting
It's hot as fuck.
Yeah, so it's just like
Oh,
a
it's not
hot.
refrigerated at all.
No.
They're-
It's in a
these thing-
bag. Yeah.
Yeah, their meals are like they're preserved so they can last for like 10 years, right, Nick, or
Mhm.
something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It was like
so
Clark
there's all sorts of-
Griswold in Vacation movie where he's like, "Yeah, Dad, taste this cookie. It was made in 1932." You're like, "What?"
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yep. It's all preserved, and like I think at the time it was just more about like getting nutrients versus looking at like the actual
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
nutritious benefit of it. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
look, they just did the simple nutrients in, nutrients out. You need to eat this much to be effective, you know.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and like, to be fair, like, after you've been running through, the desert and all this stuff, you're at some point you're just like, I'll fucking eat whatever they have as long as
Oh
they
yeah,
have
pretty
food,
much.
right?
Yeah. It's like anything else. When you play a sports like football game or wrestling match, I'm sure after like if
Oh,
you have
yeah.
no options, someone throws something in front of you, you just fucking scarf it down. Yeah,
You
one of those
ain't
things.
kidding,
Oh, yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
You ain't kidding.
Yep.
So nice. Okay. And then now they kind of hook it up with like better stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, better
know.
tasting food and more nutrition. Like they've looked into like they're not the fucking greatest thing out there, but
Sure.
they've definitely
It's
put
not
some thought
pure
into, like,
macros. They get into the micronutrients and everything.
yeah, some stuff like that. Have electrolytes and stuff in them now and everything else. So
Well, dude, like, even though, like, think about it this way, and we've talked about this on the show before, like, back in the day, right? Like, nutrition, no one gave a shit, right?
oh fuck
Look,
yeah.
dude, like,
Yeah.
think about our school lunches, right?
Yep.
Like, if they
Well, you know-
served that now, they would be thrown in jail,
Mhm.
right? Go ahead, Pete.
Nick said something I wanted, like, because I was reading about this before about like the whole electrolytes thing, because that's like something that people don't realize is like it's not just the water. Like if you lose electrolytes, like you're like completely fucked. And I know that there were guys that had gone through like boot camp and like they didn't realize at the time, like, oh, just drink more water, but the water doesn't do anything to you because it just like makes you piss out more electrolytes. That's why you need the Gatorades and the Powerades, because if you don't
Mhm.
have it, then your brain just starts like malfunctioning and you're
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So,
I'm becoming a nurse, so I'm learning all this fun stuff now. So
well, no, that's why, if people are dehydrated, right, like drinking water doesn't always work. They have to get the IV. It's because they
Yep.
lost those electrolytes. Is that
Mhm.
right,
the
Pete?
sodium. Yep,
Nice.
exactly.
Okay, so this is something I want to know. So when you're watching these shows, and I guess I just didn't know this, but I thought like to be an officer, it was just like you went, everyone went to boot camp, and then you, like, as you guys escalated, the officer kind of like, whoever was the better soldier became like an officer, whoever earned it, kind of thing. So where do the officers come from? Because, like, to me it seems like, like eventually you would be an officer, but I mean,
I like this question.
or no, you're not sorry, Nick, you're not an officer, right? Like,
No, I'm not officer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not officer.
You work
So-
for a living, son of a bitch.
Yeah. So the
Yeah,
way
an
that
officer has to go to college or something, or
Yeah. Yep, correct. So the way officer program works is you have to have a 4-year degree, and then you go through, the officer training, like officer candidate school, and then they're based off of what your career path is, they go to like following schools. So college, officer candidate school, then like, go be a, pilot or infantry officer, is an infantry officer course, or, like go be a logistics officer. So it's kind of like the enlisted, you do your initial schooling, they go through OCS versus
Yep.
like boot camp. And then they go branch off to, whatever MOS they're going to be designated as and do their following schools. Then they go to like the Fleet Marine Force.
Yeah, so
Fleet
Nick,
Forces.
if they come through like Annapolis, or they come through West Point,
Yeah.
or if they just do an ROTC program as a college, do they do a different boot camp than the normal enlistees?
Yeah, they go through officer candidate school. So they don't actually go to boot camp. Like Marine Corps boot camp is for enlisted Marines. So it's if
Oh,
you're
So
you're-
no officers?
no officers. No, so they don't go through boot camp. They go through their own schooling.
Can an enlistee go to college later on and become an officer?
Yep. Yeah, there's a couple programs for that. So if you if you have the time while you're in the Marine Corps and manage to get the schooling done, you can. I know some guys like have taken like night schooling or whatever, and there's also other programs if you qualify for it. You kind of like step away from being enlisted men, go to college, and then you go through. It's it's called the MESEP program. It's pretty much enlisted to officer, so you can like step away from being enlisted, do your like 4 years in college, then go through your officer candidate school and everything else. So there's ways to get there.
What?
Nice.
Yeah. What? So, okay. But then the other way to go about. So why aren't you considered an officer then? Like you're a master sergeant. You're a ranking military member. I guess like an officer was trained as an officer outside of military training, and it like outside of like regular military and like a different place. Like I just. Like you should be considered an officer.
What separates
right?
them? What yeah, or
Yeah.
what's the separation in the ranks? Like, can an enlisted person get to the same rank as an officer, or is
Yeah.
there, or is there any overlap between the ranks? Or I guess that's what we're trying to
So
figure out.
it's just like the way the military is structured. You have the officer ranks. So like officer
Mhm.
ranks are like I said, the officers do their own like series of schooling. So like
Yeah.
enlisted do their series of schooling. The officers do theirs, and then we meet in like the fleet is what we call it. So like enlisted is like private first class, lance corporal, corporal sergeant, staff sergeant, gunnery sergeant, master sergeant, and then master gunnery sergeant. And like officers like second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain, major, lieutenant colonel.
I
Yeah,
see.
colonel. Then you go up to general. So like an officer can reach the rank of a general. Enlisted can reach the rank to an E9. Enlisted is kind of weird too because enlisted has that at E8 we split like to different there's two different E8 ranks. There's two different E9 ranks. So you can be like a master sergeant, or you can be a first sergeant. And then as a first sergeant, you can be a sergeant major, or as a master sergeant, you can be a master gunnery sergeant. The difference between the master sergeant and master gunnery sergeant, you stay in your job field. And then as a first sergeant, sergeant major, you're kind of like a troop handler, like troop welfare kind of guy. I chose to be a master sergeant because I wanted to stay with Recon. If I
Yeah.
decided to be a first sergeant, I can be sent to anywhere in the Marine Corps. You know what I mean?
So,
But yeah, that's
are
the
you
difference.
an E9?
I'm an E8 right now.
Oh, look at you, you
Yeah.
bad son of a bitch. Nice, man, dude.
So you're
you-
Rico
you're-
in what was that movie back in the day when we were kids that was really good? The one where they're
Rico.
fighting in space.
Aliens Return.
No, Starship Troopers.
Starship Troopers, yeah.
Yeah.
Rico
Johnny
goes into the
Rico.
infantry, and
Yeah.
Doogie Howser becomes the officer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yep. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Officers
now-
mainly
yeah.
differentiate between going to college. They go to college, so.
Gotcha. And so I guess that's the thing is like is there like a rank where it's like a veteran enlisted guy versus a green officer? Like would there ever be like a conflict there where you're like, listen, like snot nose, get the fuck out of here.
Well,
Oh yeah.
I've been in this
I
fucking
mean,
yeah.
I mean,
Like-
for me, it was like at the rank of a sergeant. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, like it has to be like this. Like they're kind of trained tactical, like overall warfare, right? Which
Mhm.
you are too as well. But you're kind of like on the ground in the shit trained.
This is
more
the
than
mission
they
that has to
are.
get accomplished today. and
Exactly,
How's
like
the best way to
you're-
accomplish
They're
that?
they're thinking of like the general all out like the general battle, right? You're on the mission in that battle, and like they're kind of like helping structure the tactics of the battle, and you're kind
As
of,
Rico would say, fleet does the flying, infantry does the dying.
holy shit. All right. Okay, so let's keep it going. So Nick, that was your first tour. You went out, you did your thing, right? You come back. So you're dealing with stuff and from what I've heard, and you kind of confirm this. My dad said my dad was an Army Ranger, 82nd Airborne 1st Rangers, right? And he was his thing was, he's like, because we wrestled and did all these things, he's like, the vigorous workouts, the lack of eating, like you get kind of used to that stuff. But he's like, the thing that got him was the lack of sleep, right? And is that kind of where you were at as well too, Nick? Like how did that, like, because when you were over there, like you're not sleeping for days at a time, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I've always been good with sleep deprivation, I think. But yeah, sometimes you'd go. I'm also being the new guy. You pull like when my first tour, I was a new guy, so I was pulling like all the extra duties and post standing and stuff like that. So there'd be times where like in 2 days I maybe get like 2-3 hours of sleep, or like over like a 4-day period I was like 4 days I sleep like 6 hours, something like that. It's like 2 hours a day or whatever. So you
Wow.
learn to like work. It's not the best method to operate with, but you learn how to like operate with a little sleep. You know what I mean? You just, because there's so much to be done. And so there's days where you go 24 48 hours without sleeping. And it's just when you get the opportunity. It's funny because when guys get the opportunity to sleep, you see dudes just like fucking sleep anywhere. I see a guy like sleeping on a pile of bricks. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
funny. Like
Yeah.
wherever you get a chance to crash out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair though, like if you're an officer, you want to do like the younger guys can do that better than the older veterans. You know what I mean? Like I
Mhm.
feel like the younger kids, like, you know, back when we were young, you could stay up all night and do your thing, go to work and train and do whatever the next day and then do it all again, right? Like you
Yeah,
could you could
yeah.
do that.
Dude,
But
I could
then-
drink till 5 a.m. be up and at work functional at 8 a.m. And now like if I had like 3 beers, I'm like done for 2 days.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
same. Yeah, we're old as shit. So, okay. So let's keep it moving. So you left, right, your first tour, you came back. How long were you back home until you went out on your second tour?
So like after towards the end of my first tour, they're like, you guys are gonna be right back out here in about 7 months. So I left Iraq. I went home, saw my family for maybe like 2-3 weeks,
Yeah.
and then I went back out to 29 Palms, California.
Yeah.
We did like maybe like somewhere between a 6-7 month like training, like it's called a workup. So you do like a 7 month workup and then like head right back over. So it was about 7 months in between.
Yeah. All right. Nice. So, okay. So you ended your first tour, right? And you're 7 months, you come back out, right? Would you say when you were out on your first tour, did you get a lot of mail or did it start more when you were on your second one?
Or was
what
it just Matt?
It was just mad. My first tour, the logistics weren't as great. So like
Yeah.
we get mail like a lot slower, stuff like that.
Oh,
And
you
it
were
was,
getting it
it
like
was
months after. Yeah.
yeah, like like a month out later or somebody sent it. It takes like 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get to me. So yeah, it was a lot slower my first time around.
Yeah, that's a bummer, but hey, it's all right. At least you got it. So okay, so let's keep moving. So you come back for after your first tour, 7 months. Boom, you're back out on your second tour. You're 20 years old at this point, right? And this
Yep.
is where you kind of got your first leadership role. Is that right?
Yep.
So what was your rank and kind of what was your leadership role? Like how many guys were you in charge of? What were you kind of doing? If you can kind of lay that out.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I was promoted yet. I was either a lance corporal or corporal. Like I said, this is like 12, 13 years ago. So I was either a lance
Yeah.
corporal or corporal.
Yeah.
I was in charge of like a like a fire team.
Dude,
And the
Nick,
time
it
we
was
got
16 years ago.
yeah, there you go, even longer. So yeah, so I was like a fire team leader. So I was in charge. At that time we had a little extra guys. We went back actually with like when I first went there, we were like bare bones. Now we went back, we had like more. If our squads were a little bit bigger and platoons were a little bigger. So I think at the time I had like myself and it was like 4 or 5 other guys I was in charge of. So like a small team I was in charge of guys.
Still at the age of 20, you're running a fire team. So they notice like, dude, I'll tell you what, and this is one of the things, like, I think that it is one of the things about the, like, I guess, like the enlisted guys that shows like leading by doing is a big thing in the military. It seems like, right? Like
Trial by fire.
Well, it's also like, they're not you have to earn the respect of the guys you're leading, right? Like you can't be some bullshit dude. You can't be some guy
You can't be somebody's nephew.
Yeah, like you can't be some pussy that's lazy and cutting corners and doing these things. Like these guys saw that you worked the hardest, you did your job to the best of your ability. You're always there at the you're there at the right time. They can count on you in the shit, right? Like so they notice that, and they notice like your leadership potential. So being at such a young age that you're in charge of a fire team, even if it's 4 or 5 guys, like they trusted you at such a young age to put these men's lives in your hands and to lead them, right? So
Yeah,
like,
pretty much it was like no, I would say pretty much like yes, you have to be like the way I always saw it is like you have to be one of the, for the Marine Corps at least, like fucking physically fit and tough, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't be this fat fucking pussy. The Nick, no one's gonna follow you anywhere.
Yeah.
I was usually like the last guy to sleep, the first guy up, and like the last guy to eat. You know what I mean? I let
Yeah.
my guys fucking eat first, and
Yeah.
I eat after them. And then like everybody does their fucking share of work. You know what I mean? If you're a leader and like tell these guys to go dig and fill sandbags and you're not doing it yourself, then those guys are not going to respect you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, absolutely. And Pete, get a load of this when we were talking. So this is like what Nick would do, right? When he's handing out MREs, he talked about the tube steak that he hated. Well, guess what? All his men are getting the stuff, and he's the last one to pick his food, and he's getting the tube steak because he knows that's what a leader does. You're there to serve your men, like he's there to, he does the tough jobs and all that stuff. Like he's leading the way, leading by doing and everything like that. That's what a real leader does. So, dude, that's great to see that. And at such a young age, you're able to do that. So let's talk about this. You turned 21 in your second tour, right?
Yeah, somewhere in that second tour. My birthday's in December, so I think we went over during the winter. Then we went over like beginning of the winter. Then we were there till the summer, so it was like a winter summer end. But yeah, I was there sometime during my 21st birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were leading a fire team. You're a corporal at the age of 21. Your second tour in Fallujah, and you were working heavy, right? What does working heavy mean?
Oh, that's what I meant. Like heavy, as in we just had more guys, and like a bigger platoon. Yeah, that's bigger platoon. Like I said, from what I remember, my first deployment, we went out like bare bones. Like my second deployment, they seemed to like add extra Marines in the platoon, just so we had more guys to do more work. That's all I meant by that.
Okay, I see. So let's talk about this then. So you're 21, you're in Fallujah, and what would you say, like your first tour in between your second tour, was there a lot more IEDs in your second tour?
Yeah, so just based off of what was going on in the country at the time, like the Iraqis were, I guess, like on the run, but they're also looking like, I mean, the most advantageous way to hurt somebody is like put them in the ground. It doesn't cost them anything. It doesn't hurt them. It's not like they're gunfighting with somebody. It's not very low risk for them. So they started fucking laying IEDs everywhere. So my second deployment is when we really started to see a lot of that stuff, like roadside bombs. If no one knows, improvised explosive devices. So roadside bombs, pretty much. They fucking line the roads in different places with those fucking things.
Yeah, and dude, like, man, to me that's terrifying. Like, I know you're in a combat zone, and like, hey, your lives are in danger at all times, and I understand that. But like, these kind of weren't that big of a thing. Like in the first tour, I guess they were kind of there, but in the second tour,
in the first tour, you're going up against the actual Iraqi military, right? So that's the thing. It's like, and then you steamroll them, and then after that, it's like, oh well, we just got steamrolled, and so then it's like, all right, I guess we'll just, do the Vietnam thing, and we'll just start putting mines everywhere, and hope for the best.
Yeah, it was. It went from like the Iraqi army to like Iraqi army gave up very quickly. If you look back at the history at it, and then went from that to like the insurgency. So the insurgency, like a bunch of different people from different places, and then
it's not even Iraqis all the time. It's just people coming over from Iran or Syria or throughout the Muslim world. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Whoever fucking hates America is like, great, this is the place to go. Yeah. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we found we have a battlefield, and this is the place.
Yeah.
Yep. That's pretty much what Iraq was.
Test your metal. Yeah. Man, that's unbelievable. But you're there, so you're in there. You're in Fallujah. So like how can you kind of explain a little bit like how the
IEDs... Fallujah was the shit, right? That was the place.
Yeah.
But Fallujah shit. I mean, a lot of pretty much wherever you were in Iraq is fucking shitty. But yeah, that was one of the major places. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're riding around in Humvees, right? Mm-hmm. And you're doing your thing. And you're like, these Humvees, if they get near an IED, it's bad news, right? And you're, like people saw Hurt Locker, right? For those of you seen Hurt Locker, that's kind of like what you're dealing with, like those bombs and things like that. Mm-hmm. And you're in these Humvees. These things are a major threat, right? Like oh man, how do you know, can you detect them? Like how, because back then you guys are kind of just like, you just saw these, so you kind of still had to develop like the workflows to even find these things, right?
Yeah, there's different tactics to like I said, kind of find these things. I won't get specifically into the tactics, but the one thing that I had to do is fucking it's crazy, but I would memorize if I go down a fucking particular street, because you have an area operation, you work that area, so you
remember every single car.
Yep. Yeah, I got to the point where and Iraq's not a pretty place. It's fucking garbage everywhere, whatever they have. But you start to pick up things like that piece of trash was not there yesterday, or that fucking car has been there for 2 days now. The car is sagging low right now, so I wonder why there may be something in the trunk that's heavy. Explosives are fucking heavy, or disturbed earth on the side of the road. Like I go and see something on the side of the road that looks like someone had maybe dug there the last 12 hours, and that's when you start picking up on those small minute things. You really have to pretty much you have to absorb your environment and get to know your environment, and small changes if you go down to it's the same in the United States. you go to a neighborhood every day and you see fucking kids playing soccer, and then you go down that neighborhood a day later and it's fucking like ghost town. You're like, okay,
what the fuck's
something's
going
here.
on?
Something's here. Someone's gonna fucking shoot at me. Or there's a fucking bomb, or you notice like people walking on the right side of the road. Today they're walking on the left side of the road for some fucking reason. They're avoiding that. So you start to have to pick up on small things like that, and that's how you kind of find these fucking things. Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's incredible. So you're like, you're
basically
like,
becoming a police force.
well, like, and
Pretty much, yeah.
but
Yeah.
you're also like the skills you had to develop, like the the awareness of your surroundings, the skills you had to develop just to survive that. That's unbelievable.
But the thing is, it's like, what cars are around, what buildings are around, how are the people acting? Like, are they acting normal? Or are they acting like it's a whole
Dude, that's
crazy
crazy.
thing.
That's unbelievable.
There's my buddy Devin. So like he was with me for I think pretty much all 3 deployments, and he was my point man a lot. And that motherfucker would be like some foot tracks over there. I think he'd like that guy fucking spot shit like real fucking quick. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
like there's a little pile of dirt over there. I think there's something over there. He was really like I felt like I was good at it, but that guy was fucking great guy to have on the fucking squad. Yeah, he was like
all of a
everything was
sudden autism became a weapon. You're like, I want the guy
Yeah,
that can
exactly.
spot all the weird fucking shit. Like
Yeah.
that guy, like it's like
there. Yep.
That's unreal. Wow. Okay. So, I did want to talk about this. So back then, this is 2004, right? So
Yep.
you're in a Humvee back then, and like we've all seen them pictures of them. But now I wanted to take a look at like the new Humvee. So Pete, if you could share your screen and look up it's an MATV and a JLTV, and we can look at these, because I'll tell you what, man, this hardware, holy shitballs. Like the fact that this is the evolution of it, because of like we've been at war and all these things.
all right, Matt, what am I supposed to be typing? I
So
got M.
it's MA, so it's all one word. So Michael, Alpha, Tom, Victor. Yep. And Army. Do that one. First one. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the new kind of thing that they're doing.
Ooh.
This is the MATV. So the military all tactical vehicle. Nick, is that what it's for?
Yeah, so the MATVs were introduced, I think. So they're not super new. The MATVs probably around 2009, 10-ish. And then the other vehicle we talked about was the JLTV. So the Humvee, a lot of people are used to seeing that one's going away for a better, more armored, like durable
Does
vehicle.
Schwarzenegger have one yet or no?
Oh, bro.
He fucking might. I don't know.
Dude, he had a fleet of Humvees. He had a fleet of them. Yeah.
And then he made them. Didn't he make them? What's it called? Electric vehicles too, so he could keep driving them in Cali.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
no shit.
So he has his own like military kind
Little
of thing.
arsenal. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, look at these things. This is badass, man.
That is
So
badass.
yeah. So Nick, but when Nick was
Compared
first
to the
there-
Jeep, the original fucking
I mean,
U.S. vehicle.
Yeah.
You just passed one compared to the Humvee. Actually, I think you just had on your screen
Oh,
there.
let me,
Oh, down.
There
Yeah,
you go,
yeah,
right
yeah.
there. Yeah, there you
Wow.
go. So, a little bigger, more armor. I mean, the military is obviously continuously making upgrades, but yeah, Humvee's going away. It's going to be a legacy vehicle.
Dude, that's crazy. That's crazy to think, like, in our lifetime, like that, like it's like
Yeah.
those old World War II, trucks that you see and things like that,
Yep.
It is what it is. It's just all part of the evolution. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's crazy to think like Humvees, but even back then when you were there, they weren't like something to sneeze at. The Humvee was a good vehicle, but in comparison to now, there is no comparison.
No, I mean the Humvee was good for like durability and like off-roading and stuff like that, but it didn't have the armor and
Yeah.
Yeah, the
wasn't-
IUDs. That's what is that what inspired this, Nick? The IUDs.
Pretty much, yeah. The IEDs would just tear up fucking Humvees, and just tear
Yeah.
them up. They weren't really a match for the IEDs, so that's why. I
Yeah.
mean, the military learns from bad things happening, so
Yep.
that's where the
Yeah.
Well,
those
I said
other
like that. I
vehicles-
remember that was the big thing when Gates came over. Is like he was like, look, like this stuff's going to be here in the future, but we need this shit right now. Like that's where
Oh,
we
yeah.
need to like put our resources. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
So, all right. So let's keep this moving. Pete, thanks for sharing that. Nick, thanks for doing that. That was awesome. Giving us an explanation of that. That's really cool stuff. And then I wanted to talk about this. So you finished your second tour. How long were you back in country after your second tour before you went out on your third tour?
Back in US, probably about the same time. Like I
7
knew
months.
from my second deployment, they're like, hey boys, like you're gonna be back here in about 7 months. So I was like, sweet, all right, go home, fucking see the family, party, train,
Yeah.
you know, get ready to go again.
What
Yeah.
what kind of like that? How long were you staying in Iraq though? Like you're 7 months home, but what are you? You're a year in Iraq or how long?
No, we were doing like my first one was somewhere around like 9 months, second one around 8 months. So it was like 9, 8,
Oh.
yeah, roughly like 7, 8 months.
Oh wow! But I mean, to be fair, like it's not like you're complaining about it. Like you loved it, right? Like you kind of like loved it as much as you could, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Like you like doing that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you have like, I mean, you can compare it to any job. You have your bad days and you have your awesome days. But I mean,
Yeah.
like there's shit that I was able to do like that. I don't think, you know, people would never be able to do in their lifetime. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's awesome. You know, it's fun. You know,
Yeah.
and
You
Beats
take
the
it all in. You're yeah, I like that.
Yeah, dude, it beats the shit out
is.
of, you know, egging houses over here.
Yeah, no, like yeah. Well, like when you look at the awesomeness of the U.S. military, like all the kind of crazy ships
Yeah.
and like weapons and everything, it's like it's kind of cool when you're like, oh, I'm on a fucking submarine, like I'm in Germany, I'm in South Korea, I'm in Iraq, like, and then all the kind of crazy shit you get to do with it. It's definitely an interesting topic.
yeah, I mean, you're
Okay.
fucking like 20 years old and they're like, here's a
Yeah.
fucking like fully automatic machine gun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, here's
So-
a fucking rocket launcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're 20, keep the peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. Well, this is the top of time here. This is the first part of a 2-part series with Master Sergeant Nick Galante. Party Boy Pete, anything you want to say to the fans before we get out of here?
Don't fuck with Nick if you see him walking down the road and he's listening to his Walkman. Just let him be.
Great advice. Great advice. Nick, anything you want to say to the fans before we get back for part 2?
No, just thanks for having me on the show. Looking forward to the second one, and I know this is gonna air after, but happy 4th of July to you guys.
Yeah, right back at you, man.
Oh
Hey.
yeah.
So this has been part 1 of the Nick Galante episode. We'll be airing part 2 next week. You can follow us on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and hang out with us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. All right, stick around the ad read. Thanks for listening. Bye. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott and Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott and Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott and Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott and Bell Publishing, where the authors go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your